Wow. So that was incredible, and I do want to say to Jackie, thank you for those very moving words and sharing your story, and most particularly for keeping Vinny's memory alive. That was incredible. We're very grateful. My name is Jay Calnan. I'm one of the co-chairs tonight. And it's such an honor, and it's truly humbling to be here and seeing, so many people, so many friends, so many family members, so many people who have been supporting Team Impact since the very beginning. This is our 10th year gala, which that in itself is mind-blowing that we're here tonight on 10 years. And so many people were here at the very beginning and came to join our very first gala not having any idea what Team Impact was, what we did, and what we were going to do. Frankly, we didn't even know. But you got behind it. And then as years went on, more and more people got behind it. And there's so many people here tonight that have been part of this organization and our support over the last 10 years. When Dan Kraft and I first started talking about where this would go, we were hoping to draft a few kids locally and try to change their lives. And as you heard earlier tonight, we're coming up on 3,000 kids drafted onto teams across the country. It's unbelievable. We're on 725 campuses across the country, and most importantly, one of the things that we didn't really tune into as much when we first started, but we're really dialed into right now, we're impacting over 100,000 student athletes through this program on these campuses. And you saw the impact and the relationships on the different videos tonight. It's incredibly powerful. Now, everyone in my family knows I always run a little late. Apparently, the next generation is not far behind. My son Jake just graduated Hopkins Lacrosse, and his teammate Kyle are here joining us tonight. Big wave there, Kyle. They're all waiting to see you. We talk about the student athlete part, and everyone obviously gets the component where we're benefiting a child dealing with a life-threatening or chronic illness. They're pulled out of their schools, they're pulled out of their friend groups. They spend a lot of time in hospitals. They don't have a lot of the same opportunities everyone else has. And we have been changing that one child at a time. And I know everyone gets that. But what's equally as impactful is the change to the student athletes. When you're dealing with adversity, and when you're in a group that you're looking to belong to, and you may be struggling. You may be struggling on the field, you may be struggling in the classroom, you may be struggling socially, and believe me, if you know these student athletes, they struggle. Having the right perspective changes everything. And they get that perspective from the kids like Kyle and Vinny and Daniela and so many others. I'm incredibly grateful for all the support that you guys have provided for Team Impact as it's grown over the years. I know Dan feels the same way. The organization has grown a lot in the last 10 years, and as Pam and Josh referred to earlier, we have a long way to go in the next 10 years. Some really exciting stuff. We had a great meeting last night, and there's a lot of great stuff ahead. But me personally, you impacted this past year in that my son Jake, as a junior, severed his Achilles, and he'll tell you the story. They asked me to give the story, but Jake's here, so he'll give you the detail. But from a parent, to have a kid go through a partnership with a young man like Kyle and create that kind of friendship that they've created. I saw firsthand personally how Team Impact affected my family, and I couldn't be more grateful to the entire room and everyone that's ever done anything for Team Impact. So I do want to introduce my son Jake and his teammate Kyle and have him give a couple of words, and then we have one more video to show. Thank you very much.
How's it going, everyone? hate to do this in front of all of you because I try and do it behind his back, but as usual, hit the nail on the head. Gratitude is obviously something that's really important to my dad and something that he's tried to instill in me and my two siblings. But like he said, it can be hard sometimes as a student athlete. And I use the word hard tentatively because obviously there are such bigger things than our little problems that we have in our blessed lives. But it still is overwhelming at times, and it takes a long time for people to settle into being a student athlete at the college level. Some people never do, and it's understandable. And I don't say that in a malicious way because I've been there myself, and I've been guilty of losing that gratitude because the days can get hard. I'll put a day like this. You could have a 5 a.m. lift, a 9 a.m. calculus exam, a noon meeting with your coaches who tell you you've been moved from the first line to the second line, afternoon classes, evening practice, homework, study hall, all this stuff that seems like it's just swirling around you, and it's easy to forget to count your blessings. But the goal of Team Impact, in my vision, for the student athletes is to go from point A to point B. And what I mean by that is point A being the I have to mentality, which is, I have to wake up, I have to go to this class, I have to meet with these coaches in this film room for this long, I have to do this amount of time in the classroom, to point B, which is the I get to mentality. And I think in my personal experience at Hopkins, for my first 3 years, we were definitely at point A, and you could tell that in the morale of the locker room a lot. But when Kyle and his family joined our team, we no doubt transitioned to point B, which is, I get to go lift with a professional strength coach. I get to learn at this amazing school. I get to listen to these coaches who want to help me be a better person and mentor me. And I get to do it all with 50 brothers. It's a pretty special thing, and it's something we take for granted a lot. But as I was thinking about what to say tonight, I realized I'll never be a student athlete again, which is scary and sad. But what's even scarier is thinking about reminiscing on my time as a student athlete without Kyle in my senior year, because him and his brother Jackson really put things in perspective for us. And all that stuff whirling around your head, it's only amplified when you're losing games and going through Achilles and whatnot, injuries like that. But the one thing that brought us to point A, or from point A to point B, was an attitude. And it didn't come from me, it didn't come from my teammates, it didn't come from any captain or coaches. As great as a guy as he is and as good at his job as he is, it didn't come from our sports psychiatrist either. It came from Kyle and his brother. Every day, no matter how many games we lost, no matter how bad we lost by, they'd be high-fiving us in and out of the locker room, showing up on random weekdays, smiling ear to ear, just throwing the ball around. And it just reminds you, no matter how serious you take things, how much work you put in, how badly you want to win, it's still just a game at the end of the day, and it's just such a privilege that we can lose sight of sometimes. So I couldn't have been more thankful for the relationship I had with Kyle and his family, and for Team Impact and everyone who supports it. So thank you.